Welcome to the Scottish Interior Podcast. I'm Declan, a social media manager with a passion for interiors.
And I'm Michelle, an interior designer with my own company called Interiors 45.
Together, we're here to chat all things Scottish interiors, design trends, styling tips, and the projects that keep us busy. Now, let's get into today's episode. So here we are, episode 3 of the Scottish Interior Podcast, Michelle.
Amazing. And an exciting episode too.
I know, it was exciting.
I know.
So today we've got different setup.
Yeah, different setup, and we're welcoming guests today as well.
I know, I'm so excited to have our first guest on the show. Yeah. So how has your week been? Tell me.
My week has been fabulous. Spent Monday with my Victorian mansion client. Oh. So that was a full 7 hours going through specification for all of the decorating for all of the rooms, which was amazing. So
I have seen the new flooring, the checkerboard floor. It's great. Looks unbelievable. And
then on Tuesday I was at the Scottish Interior Showcase in Falkirk, which is always wonderful to go to catch up with everybody from the industry, see lots of new things. It's such a good day, and found the most amazing Tunnock's tea cake puffy, which was just insane.
And even the guy behind the brand, Steve, brilliant. He was just incredible and so passionate, and it's great to see somebody that's so passionate about their work and actually execute it, because we've all got hopes and dreams, but actually taking it to the next level and creating this and the work behind it and the way that he sourced the material behind it, it was pretty spectacular.
And do you know what I liked? You know my love of pink, so they had a pink one, and each of them are called Sassy something. Yeah. And the pink one was called Sassy Bitch. And I was like, yes, that's for me. That's the one I want.
You're giving Sassy Bitch.
Sassy Bitch. There we go. So that's been my week so far. Yours?
Oh, I have had that jam-packed week, but it's been good. So influencer Declan's been
he's been out and about.
So I was invited along to the AC Marriott Hotel in Glasgow on Monday evening, which was for Ishka Skincare. They were launching their new diffuser, which is actually displayed here today. Okay. It's called Hebridean Dreams. Oh. And the ethos behind the brand is truly incredible, and it smells amazing. Like, I've walked into the house today after just opening it yesterday, and it's like first thing it hits you. So loving that.
Spa vibes. So time to introduce our first guest.
Time to introduce our first guest. So today we are joined by the fabulous Vikki Ridler, TikTok's favourite estate agent and the powerhouse behind the brand that is Fifth Avenue Homes. Let's just say if Scotland had its very own Selling Sunset, she'd be the star bringing the glamour and all the drama. With a sharp eye for detail and property, her social media presence is second to none. So Vikki is shaping up the industry. Welcome to the Scottish Interior Podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I feel like I should put that. I'm like, I need that for my bio everywhere. LinkedIn, I'm going to put that on it.
Don't worry, it was ChatGPT. So
you'll see it soon everywhere.
The power of AI.
I know.
Wow.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's exciting to be here.
So, Vikki, tell us everything that's been going on. You've set up Fifth Avenue Homes with the most gorgeous golden branding.
And love it.
Amazing.
I'm obsessed with it.
I know. I feel like this is finally me.
Yep.
Which is so ironic, but before I stepped out on my own, I actually wanted to call the business Avenue, but there were so many different other people that were doing exactly the same thing. So the Fifth Avenue came as a thought, sent it out to my friends, and they were like, this is actually so you. Yeah. And see everybody, it's so nice because see everybody that I speak to, they're like, this is more you. Yep. This is exactly it.
Yep.
It's nice to be my own boss, doing my own thing and everything else. But also at the same point is it's so nice to see that people still want to use me, like with everything else.
And can we also just say that you sold my first home?
I know.
How exciting was that? And honestly, like, I mean, I know that aside, like you and I go way back.
Yeah.
Like way back, like to wearing Rihanna t-shirts and chinos way back.
You've both grown up a bit, is that what we're saying? Yes.
We have.
Both grown up a bit.
Definitely.
But Vikki, see from my point of view, like estate agency really fascinates me. Like I think it's just because I have a love for all things, like property wise, and like I'm now in like my 13th house because I've moved like so many times. Yeah. So, and it was like actually a surveyor that said to me like, you should do this for a living because like every house that I sold really well. Yeah. And really like for good money. So it was like the wee thing in there. It was like I could do this as I could do this as a job.
Yep.
So, but I'm aware that not everybody's house will be ready for selling, and that's probably something that you need to overcome. So, from my point of view, I'm really keen to explore with you. Like, obviously, staging used to be a very American thing, and now staging seems to have taken off here. And your thoughts on, do you think that works? Is it something that you recommend to clients, or like how do you overcome that conversation if somebody's house isn't ready for sale?
I think it's always, for me especially, like staging absolutely does, because if you look at the evolution of why people buy homes, they buy the idea of it, the lifestyle and everything else, and you have to create that now for them because people buy into everything online. Like if you look at everything that people do, you've got people buy cars, people are like easily influenced. I mean, there's a job now for people that are actually influencing other people and doing all of these different things. And having that conversation with a client, first of all, is if you've got or you've renovated this beautiful home and you've done all the work and you're getting to that point where you're putting on the market, it's not going to look great with 4 white walls and some nice flooring. It doesn't matter how nice that is. You have to give that idea to people. Like once they see it, it's almost like, I use the term peacocking, because you're literally going to people, oh, look at this. I mean, I don't know how many places that I go in, and I'm talking even just other clients' homes where I'm valuing it, and I'm like, I need that, I need that, I need that. Like my other half is like, we do not need anything more. Like this is a ridiculous, Vikki, but it's because you're going into something and going, oh wow, and you make it makes them feel a certain way when they see it. And that's the difference from even the, like for me as an estate agent, is I put more effort into the marketing now than what I ever did before. Because when I first started, it was like I was walking around to the Kodak shop to get the nobody, I mean, could you imagine doing that now?
I know.
Unbelievable. So yes, I think staging for, it doesn't matter what you're doing, if you've got an empty home or it's just something that needs a little bit more personality in it, then absolutely, it always works.
And I think that's the thing, that was the surveyor that said to me that a furnished home always sells better than an empty home. So in cases where somebody's maybe their family members passed away or whatever, and they've been left a house, he said, like, we would always say, try and keep the furniture, because, and I know this from doing interior design, that people can't always see the space. They sometimes look at an empty room and think, oh God, this room isn't big enough for a bed, it's not big enough for bedside cabinets. But actually, if you've seen the bed in there, you would see it, oh, I've got lots of room round about it. So you would agree with that?
People are so visual that you need to give them that idea of it.
Yeah, it's like when you go viewing show homes, apart from the show home, if you're showing another style of the house that hasn't been dressed for show home standards, then you go and you go, I'll never imagine my space or filling this space with what furniture I've got.
Yeah.
I once, and I don't know how this happened, and I've told this story quite a few times, I once valued a woman's home when she bought a new build, and it was actually the development that you used to live in.
Yeah.
And I went down, and that new build that she bought was the exact same as the show home, and she was like, oh, you know, I'm really disappointed. You know, when I came to view the house, like everything was just so nice and the carpets were so lovely, and then I got it and it was just this and there was no carpets and everything else, and I was like, how have you went through that process thinking that you were buying the show home to not knowing that it was actually a brand new home with nothing in it? And she was totally disappointed because it wasn't what she felt like walking into the new one.
But I've had several clients now that have moved into like brand new builds, and like the way it's been described to me is like, I'm just living in a white box and I do not know how to make it my own. I don't know how to personalise. So they've put in their furniture that they've come with, and it absolutely does not look like how they want it to look. So again, they've got this idea of the show home felt luxury, homely, had personality, all that, and they don't know how to bring their own personality to the house.
Yeah.
And that's one of the that's really, it's a great job, because it's not knocking down walls, and it's not having like joiners and tradesmen in. It's like literally doing all of the nice bits, all of the soft furnishings.
It doesn't help when your builder tells you that you can't paint or wallpaper within
Well,
the
this is
first
true.
year.
I
What is
know.
your thoughts on that? Because I absolutely did not stick to that
Well,
whatsoever.
if you notice that every show home you go into, it's wallpapered.
Absolutely.
Right, for the word go. The reason that happens is because obviously you've seen
Yeah.
like the nails pop in the wall and stuff like that, and it's basically so you don't waste money on wallpaper and things like that, and then come back and say, well, actually this is not right with my house, when it actually is just a normal thing that happens.
So all in all, Vikki, are you for staging?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
How would you broach the subject? So we've seen all the programmes on TV, your 60-minute makeovers and people selling houses and stuff. And how do you broach the conversation if somebody's got too much personality in their house?
So I've had it in previous times where and I love to see people's personality in their home, because I
absolutely.
think that's a reflection
Same.
of them.
Yep.
But also and it's with anything, it doesn't necessarily just mean decor or anything like that. It could be clutter or anything. And I'll always say to them, you need to get out of the frame of mind now. It's your home or your family home, and it's now what your buyers see.
Yep.
And what your buyers are seeing is it's maybe a little bit too much, and you need to sort of scale it back, because the last thing is everybody's homes are going on the internet.
Yeah.
That's it. And we are living in a society where people think it's okay to start commenting on people's homes. It could be lovely comments, but equally it could be negative as well. And having that conversation early on, I always have all difficult conversations right at the very start, because then on that foot they know that I'm always going to be honest with them.
Yeah.
And when it comes to staging, it's like, put yourself, if I pictured your home right now and put it online, without thinking of it as your home, what would you think? What would you comment? Would this make you want to view it? Because that's the hardest part of my job as an estate agent, is not getting the deal done. It's actually getting the viewers through the door. So the nicer that looks online, nicely presented, clear, crisp, everything else, the more chance that I've got of people actually coming to me and going, I need to view it, I need to be out there, I need to go and see it for myself.
Yeah.
And you're doing a fabulous job on social media. Like, I'm engrossed whenever Vicki's face pops up. I'm like, right, what's happening in the world of Vikki today? And you're just always, whether you're walking up the middle of a main street, or I'm like, what's that motor, Vikki?
I know, stop in traffic, stop guys.
Or whether you're talking about daily dilemmas or
I know.
just challenges you're facing as a mother. It's great because you're just putting it out there, and you're doing a fab job.
Real life. And I mean, there's some of it that not everybody will share on social media, but I think it gives people a good idea of who I am
And who they're dealing with.
because you can't. I mean, some people might be able to fake it, but for me, you get a gauge of who somebody is based on the content that they're putting out. And people all know that as much as I'm in a stage, and they followed me through that journey of working for other people, then setting up my own, to then rebranding, and then to come back and like as a mother, like running about like a headless chicken at football runs. And
I also think it helps that like estate agents have had a bad rep for years and years and years.
Know.
Yeah, and it was always like, oh, they just want to take your money and make as much money as they can and whatever. They don't care about you, all that kind of stuff. And I think what you're doing is like you're trying to make it much more personable and much more involved, so you're just not the person that comes and says, yeah, we can get this for your house, and then they never see you again.
Yeah.
So I think from that perspective, people can buy into that and say, oh, actually, she's real.
The majority of my audience is women.
Yeah.
So I talk about this quite a lot, because if I'm looking at, and it's the same conversations that I have with every single client, if they're in a relationship or not, it's what most people are using Rightmove like the Argos catalogue now. And you're going through and see, and I do it as well. Of course it's research for me, but you're going on and you're having a look at everything going, oh, if I won the lottery, I'll go down to London, go splash
come on,
in
she's
25
13
million.
houses deep.
I know. But you'll be the same, because you're obviously seeing.
I love looking at houses. But also, like, I think, as you said, like years ago, people didn't see, unless they were a viewer, they didn't see in somebody's house. So unless you were actually brave enough, that even if you weren't intending to buy it, you could still be brave enough and go for a viewing just because you were wanting to be nosy.
Yeah.
But now people can be nosy all of the time.
Yeah.
And I guess that's back to what you're telling your clients, this is for people to view. Yeah. Do you want everybody to see this? Which leads me on to my next question, right? So this is a bit tricky, but we've said in this podcast, we'll be honest. Is there anything you've ever been shown a house to other people, or you've been getting to do a viewing with someone and you've discovered something that you didn't know was there? Or embarrassing, or?
Yes.
No names need to be named.
It's all right.
Come on, Vikki, spill the beans.
Right, so the worst thing that I've ever seen, and this was like 10 years ago, so I was like early 20s, like broaching into the world of lettings. Like that is a whole new world in itself. And I was like, right, okay. So I organised to take the owner of that property to go and obviously make sure that everything was okay. So essentially a takeout. Got there. And this guy, like, it's probably the worst flat I've ever seen in terms of condition. There
like
was
cleanliness, or?
Well, there was an adult swing bolted to the ceiling. There was used adult balloons everywhere.
Oh my God!
No.
There was the big, and I'm standing, can I say, like, I remember thinking, like, it's not even just cleanliness, they were everywhere.
Oh my God.
Everywhere. To the point we will never know what happened behind the scenes of that.
Did they have neighbours? Like, did the neighbours never?
It's quite a nice part of the world.
Oh my God.
Lovely area.
That is not what I was expecting.
But it was just like, I have no idea what happened or what went on in there. But that was probably the worst half hour of my life, where I was like, what do I say? Like, what do I do?
Oh my God.
No.
What do you even do in that situation?
That's a bit shocked me. I wasn't expecting that answer.
No, I was not.
You should
I was expecting that somebody's underwear was under the bed or something like that. I wasn't expecting that.
Swings?
I was expecting swings.
Don't worry, neither was I. And this is the thing, like, I think after that experience, nothing would shock me now.
But then that's the difference between letting and selling, though, isn't it? Because letting people can be, you hear stories that people's properties are left in such disarray. Like,
yeah, I suppose, but I think also, like, the sales side of things, not everybody does move for good reason, and people do get embarrassed even when obviously they've asked for a valuation or they're having that first initial conversation with me, and they'll say to me at that point, like, it's not ready for you to come out and see it, and I'm like, tell me why it's not ready, like, what's going on? And that is the ideal time for me to go out, because there's a lot of things that people need to know what to do, and also there might be something that they don't need to do. So that's my prime time to actually try and get out. And this is the thing, like, I always want people to feel comfortable enough to say to me that if they're going out and if they are embarrassed with it, it's like, don't worry, I can point you in the right direction in terms of what you need to do. Yeah. It's
the same for me. Like, actually, if I'm going to see somebody's house or going to do a consultation, then they run about and they tidy up and they make everything perfect and it's all sitting. And there was one I went to and she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm just in from my work and I'm not prepared and excuse the mess and all the rest of it. And I was actually like, do you know, this is the best way for me to see your house, because I need to see how you live. These are questions that I ask you, like, how do you live? How, do you have a big social life? Do you have a big family? Do you have pets? All of that stuff. Yeah. It's not about Instagram world. It's about real life. And therefore I can only design and style your home to your lifestyle. Otherwise I'm going to give you something that just doesn't suit.
Yeah. But I think that's probably the perks of being a woman in the industry as well. Like, in no manner of means do I mean it in a sort of sexist way, but I look at it the way they live. Like, I'm very good at recreating that for them. Like, even if they tell me what they're looking for in terms of the next property, if something comes up, it might not be with me, but part of my process and part of my service is I'll send you that and say, tell me what you think. The more no's you tell me, the easier it is for me to then, when something comes on, and most clients will vouch for me for that, where I'll send them it over and go, I think you should view this, see what you think, and then we can deal with this side of it from there. And 9 times out of 10, they've went out, they've loved it, and they've bought it, and then I'm marketing their own home in the back of it. But it is, you're right, it's seeing how they live, because not everybody lives the exact same way and exactly the same. Like, people are tidying up and everything else. out for the shape and size. Like I'm out and seeing how the room sizes compare to the one that's just sold down the street or something like that.
It's very similar, isn't it? Like your process and my process is quite similar.
Yeah, it's just...
Because like I would say to people, like it's the same. Like I would give somebody like 3 choices. Do you like this or this? And the more no's they can tell me, the more reaction they can have to things, the more I can say, right, I know they absolutely don't like that, so I'm not going to go down that route. And it's really quickly, like you can establish really quickly what their likes and dislikes are. So, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I was just going to ask.
The guest.
I'm just sitting here like tennis, just listening to you. And we're thrilled to announce that the Scottish Interior Podcast is proudly sponsored by Tyrrell's Home Furnishings.
With over 90 years of experience, Tyrrell's specialise in all things home furnishings, from flooring and carpets to upholstery, living, bedroom and dining furniture. Their commitment to quality, value and exceptional service has made them a trusted name in the industry.
A huge thank you to Tyrrell's Home Furnishings for supporting the podcast, bringing style, comfort and inspiration to homes across Scotland. And do you think a lot of your success is definitely came from your social media presence, Vikki?
I think it's helped, definitely. I've been in the industry for, it'll be 20 years this year, so it's a long time. So I've learned from where I've been, I've learned what good looks like, but I've also learned what bad looks like and what I would expect if I was selling my house with somebody. But I think people, if I look at it in terms of like me versus anybody else that's sort of doing social media, people have an idea of me before I'm coming through their door.
Totally.
And most people, if they're looking to sell their property, they're getting more than one agent out. They'll maybe have 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. But me stepping inside that door, they feel like they've already known me, and that conversation's a lot more easier because an estate agent coming out to your house, I get why people get nervous because you're going out. It could be, or they got to tell me my house is valued at this or valued at that. Whereas I'm coming in and I've broken that ice. If they do tell me that, I follow you on social media, then they've got the idea of like, I'm down to earth. I'm not coming out and, with a huge ego or anything like that. It's just coming out to find about what is going to help them.
And what are you loving most about TikTok?
I went down a very dark, deep rabbit hole in TikTok. Like it can go from anything. I've been watching. Does everybody? I know. Like I only joined TikTok a year ago.
I know.
So that's like what is mental about it. And I'm lucky enough and fortunate enough that I don't really get like any negative comments. Anybody that says anything negative is usually somebody that's, in the same industry but like not doing anything remotely that I'm doing. The other side is like I can be on there looking at home accounts. I can be on there looking at old people dancing. I can be on there like searching everything. I probably use, and I think a lot of people do it, they use TikTok like they use Google.
Yeah. I was actually reading that Gen Z use that as their search tool now. Mm-hmm. And couldn't believe it. Like, rather than going to Google, which you and I would know, they are right onto TikTok, using that for every piece of information that they require.
I think because you're getting people's opinions on TikTok, it's very easy to go on and actually find the right answer.
So, say, like, one thing I wanted to ask you was you were talking about the benefits of being a woman and how it helps us with certain things in our job. Have you had any downsides to being a woman? Have you ever been, like, put down as in, like...
Trolled.
Trolled, that kind of thing?
I've seen...
I've seen some comments.
What comments you see? I think, like, I would rather... If somebody's talking about you, you're doing something right. And I say that with everybody. Like, if somebody has something negative to say, like, I've seen a lot of different comments about wee boys and daft lasses, estate agents and everything else, right? But that's because it's people that are older that are always been set in their ways and everything else. Like, I've evolved from the corporate estate agency background to then going to an independent, to then going completely on my own and everything else. So it's actually 20 years experience, whereas sometimes, like, I remember when I first started, I wanted to be a valuer. So my job obviously as valuer is, like, I'm the one that is going out to value people's homes. And they actually said to me, and this was a long time ago, where the females were the negotiators in the office, so they were the ones that actually sold the house. Mm-hmm. The valuers were they were the guys that were kicking around in the flashy sports cars and the sharp suits and everything else. And I remember I was like, and bearing in mind I was like 16, I was like, I want to be a valuer. And I remember somebody saying to me, "You won't be because you're a woman." And I was like, "Oh, I'll prove you wrong here." And I think I love seeing women in property as well, because 9 times out of 10, the people that I meet in the background are women.
Yeah.
Because, like, I always say this, but a woman makes a house a home. Like, they really do. Like, and that's the difference from the transactional side of things and everything else. You obviously need both. And it might not be that dynamic in every relationship, but for me, I get to know that I think differently to probably most guys that are going out to value it, because it's just about the listing and everything else. And I'm not saying that they're all going to be like that, but for me, I'm looking at it, what happens next for you? Like, what is it that's going on? And obviously, there's the other side of TikTok where you get the other comments. Some people have fascination with tights, no idea why. Like, is that the comments you mean, like, Declan?
That's the comments I mean.
Oh my God. So, like,
Vicky's starting up on Only Tights.
See if there was money in it.
Only Tights.
So this brings us to the part of the podcast, Vicky, where we're going to just hit you with a quick fire round.
Okay.
So let me get my questions ready that I've prepared for you.
I am not good at this game. Like, even the quick fire questions are like, oh.
Okie dokie. So here goes. New build or sandstone?
Sandstone.
Country living or city living?
Country.
Renovation or turnkey?
Oh.
Got you there.
I know. I'd say if it was for me, turnkey, but I love to see renovation.
Great answer. Bigger kitchen or bigger garden?
Kitchen.
Amazing views or amazing interiors?
Oh, interiors.
And lastly, a question for you. In your home and in your space, are you a maximalist or minimalist?
I'm at that point. I normally would say I'm a minimalist.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have moved in with my partner and it's like 2 homes combined.
Yeah.
And nobody knowing what to do.
So there's not one style going through the house. There's a few.
It's nice, but like it was very much bachelor pad before I joined.
So you were going to have to soften it up for you, Vicky, make it softer. And what's next for you then? So what's your dream? Where are you going next with Fifth Avenue?
So I don't think I'll ever have a branch. Okay. I've been quite strong in this. I don't know where it might change throughout, depends obviously with everything else. I'd like to actually start something that involves bringing younger people in, like sort of apprenticeships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think like it was somebody else that said to me, it was like school fairs and everything where estate agency is actually becoming more and more popular for people, and especially younger people, and there's not an avenue really for them to go into. Mine was by chance because they needed an office junior, but in terms of like teaching people or educating people or letting them know like what they're coming into, because
do you think that's down to like a lot of these dramatised TV series like Selling Sunset?
That's the thing, I know, and I kind of laughed when you said about the Selling Sunset and everything. Like, it isn't that. It really isn't. But I think for me, I'd like to be one of the biggest agents in Lanarkshire. And I'd like to bring in more people that sort of are a bit, and it's not arrogant saying it, but a bit more like me, like that are more down to earth and everything, because I think that's what people want. They don't want this coming in and, you know, the big bravado or anything like that. Just be honest with people. Tell them the truth.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. And I could actually sit here and talk to you for
I know, absolutely. I'm just engrossed.
But it's been amazing. Thank you so much.
It's been so good. And thank you so much for being on. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.